me get the lights dim. I have a slideshow ready. I probably don't even need the mic. We all have that teacher voice. Good? All right. So I'm going to wait for the lights to dim so you can see what's happening. But thank you for the introduction. Very kind words. I hate it once you call me the Pied Piper, but don't get it. I have sort of a script, but I don't want to use it. I told a lot of kids, I teach all the time and everything comes from the intellect, and I don't want tonight to be that. I want it to be something from here. So I've been rolling through this for many times. So I'll give you my intro slide. I don't know if you want to see it, but that's more to make me more comfortable than anything else. Can you guys even see it? No. I'll email it. Truthfully, I know what I'm doing. I'm giving a speech, but I don't know why you guys picked me. And I'm not trying to sound overly humble. I don't feel like it was that long ago that I was in your shoes. These last 20 years have gone like that. I'm trained in the social sciences, social studies. I teach you ideas about dead Europeans mostly. And those are their ideas. And so now I have to share, I guess, my ideas. I was given very little direction on what I'm supposed to talk about. And that scared me, and I was kind of mad that you guys picked me for this. I have plenty to do besides this. But what it really forced me to do is reflect and look back. And I care deeply about what I do and deeply about many of you. I've had every single one of you in class with the exception of Sammy Long, and one other, and Gina Wagner. So, hi. So with that in mind, I give you my chalkboard. And for many of you, if you've had me in class, I have a slideshow nearly every single day. So this is your last slideshow. And hopefully, I mean, your last lesson, except for Sammy and Gina, it's your first lesson. Gina's somewhere, there she is. I'm not that arrogant to think I have this life figured out. Not even close. I am shocked by life every single day. To me, I use this metaphor of, it's pulling on that one string on the sweater. And every time I think I've got something figured out, I am surprised. So if I have an objective tonight, it's that there's something you can take with you going forward. This is my story. It might not match your story. I mean, take it or leave it, I suppose. I'm just trying to be as honest as I can of the lessons that I've learned along the way. I don't know if some of you heard, there's kind of a thunderstorm going on right now, right? You hear the rumbling? And the word serendipity keeps coming to me for whatever reason. And when I heard that thunder roar, and we got all our colors on and everything, I think we're in the right place. So we'll see how it goes. I hate cliches, whatever you want to call them. I wrote down all the different words for cliche somewhere in here. Dylan gave me one just recently. What was it? Platitudes. Platitudes. But as I was reflecting on this, what I came to realize is those cliches, those platitudes, they're real. They do define life in some cases. So let's jump into it as we can. So much for cliches. I'm going with the top 10 list. The only direction I was given for this is that Mr. Zadlow killed it last year. So I'm like, great. And he did an acronym sort of thing, correct? So I'm like, all right, that gives me same direction of how to put this together. So I spent many, many weightless nights trying to come up with, and not trying to, just letting whatever it is speak to me about what I value and what I think you will find fascinating about life as you go forward. So this is my top 10 list. Let's do it. Number 10. And I'm just going to start with one word. And there it is. I hear it a lot. You're at an honors banquet. It says right in here that I'm the honored speaker. I remember being on the honor roll. There's National Honor Society. But I don't think I even really ever looked up what that word meant, and I'm wondering if you have. Here you are on an honors banquet. Truth be told, I don't really know what we're honoring. I don't mean that to be and take anything away from you. Is it 3.75 GPA? I'm looking around the room, and this is a dynamo group of kids, no doubt about it. But what are we? Is it just grade point average? Is that it? Okay, that's good. You guys have worked hard. Great. I would be curious, though, if you asked your parents and teachers if they could remember their high school GPA. Because I can't. I got A's and B's because my parents made me. And, you know, as I left high school, I sort of expected the same thing. That's sort of what it is. And I quickly realized that wasn't the case. For my whole life, till the year I was 18 years old, I had a metric imposed on me of what I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to value, and that quickly ended. And that isn't to say my parents and teachers didn't know what they were talking about or didn't instill those things. The whole world just opened up very quickly, and I felt a little lost at that. And so I guess for number 10, as you look at the definition there, Albert, can you read it? What do we got? There you go. So I would believe that, looking at about, I think, the 40 of you, you definitely represent the best of Woodstock North, not just for your GPA, but for a lot of different things that you've done. I remember a group of you that did a video your freshman year that had nothing to do with the grade, or the Walking Tech video that won an award. That had nothing to do with it, and I never saw a prouder group of kids pull something off. That was awesome. So I'm kind of putting two words together here, and they kind of have synonymous meanings, and that's the idea of integrity. You know, and Albert, again?
As I live my truth, my thoughts, words, and actions out of life.
Your truth. You know, like I said, you've had everything imposed on you at this point, and it's going to be different all of a sudden. And you're going to have to develop your truth. That's the number, this is almost backwards order, but that's it. And so really, if you put down my countdown from 10 to 9, this is the way that I've discovered how to figure out what my truth is, what it is that I stand for. And it's been an awesome journey up to this point, a painful journey up to this point, but that's life. It's pulling that sweater and seeing what's going forward. So my top 10 advice to you, number 1, honor your integrity. Find out what you value the most, make that your truth, and live it. Sounds easy, but it's not going to be. Integrity is kind of hard at times. And so that leads right into my number 9. I hope this makes sense. Because I think if you find your truth and you live your truth, then the rest of your life is going to be a vacation. So I'm using, I just checked and no one knows it. You know what Mr. Belding is from Saved by the Bell? Yes. You ever see that guy have a bad day? He loved his job. And there's a Dirty Head song, which is, I thought, fairly popular right now, about, hey, 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 I'm on vacation every single day because I love my occupation. Go into life with your integrity first and find an occupation that allows you to live that. I have, absolutely. And I bet there's eye rolling right now because some of you spend way too much time in my classroom. And you see the dark side sometimes. And you're like, Mr. Lava, you do not love your job. I absolutely do. What you're seeing is frustration and passion. And I've been on plenty of vacations where the sun isn't shining every day. The traffic to get there, the delayed flights, it starts snowing, and things go wrong all the time on vacation. My honeymoon, we had to evacuate because a hurricane approached. But that didn't take away from the fact that it was still a vacation. And so for me, teaching, I am on vacation every day. I love the work I do. It's not even work. I get to talk about things in class that I'm most passionate about. And I get to try to relate to your lives. And when I see those things click, that's it for me. Now those frustrations, they come. They certainly do. Those are the things that I feel are outside of my control. And I feel like they're ruining my vacation. They're ruining my truth's work, which is teaching. And that drives me crazy. And so that's, to me, when your integrity gets challenged. What are you going to do about that? Do you just sit there and whine, accept it as reality, or do you go to number 8? This might make people nervous, but that's okay. Let it all come together. It'll make sense. Number 8. Kind of a shout out to anarchy, but it's not. Speak truth to power. Kind of sounds like I'm trying to get like a revolution going here. That's not the case at all. But if you know your truth and what you stand for, you have to speak up for it or it will never manifest itself. And that's the hardest thing you're going to have a challenge to do. It's easy to bury your head and hide in the sand and hide at the water cooler and complain about it or post it. But the real leaders have to be willing to be disliked. If that's truly what you believe in, let it be known. Direct your own course of your own existence that way. I'm reminded of a couple books. One you should remember, one probably not. But for those of you who have me, I love reading, and I love certain books, and there's 2 of them in the slideshow that I'm going to try to get you to read before you leave tonight, so one last assignment. But the first one is The Emperor's New Clothes. You remember that tale? I think the gist of it is the emperor is the emperor. He can do no wrong. Because people simply want to please him, they ignore the fact that a clever tailor is simply making fake clothes out of nothing. And the story ends with the emperor walking around naked and nobody willing to call him out for that. And so the entire society basically is a farce. Will you have the courage to tell the emperor he's not wearing any clothes? Will you have the courage to speak your truth when the time comes? To me, that's what integrity is. Go back to that definition. Albert, do you have it memorized? Speaking and living your truth, day to day, even when it's hard. Another book that I think I love, is my favorite book of all time. George Orwell's, more popular than ever, 1984. Written in 1947-48. And there's an old, you can see it there, a constant motif of the book is that the party in charge is trying to tell everyone that 2 + 2 = 5. And we all know that's not true, but because of the fear of following line, they accept it as reality, and the main character goes through this existential crisis of, I know it's not, but how do I project that? And the book has a horrible ending, because he loses in the end. He loses his integrity. But the premise there, check that book out at some point if you have not. In our world of alternate facts and post-truth, the fact that we accept those things as even acceptable, as bizarre as it is, I think this man had things figured out way back when in terms of looking at those things. So if we review, right? Your truth, your integrity, put you in the right direction for your career. It's not going to stay that way unless you have the courage to put your integrity on the line. That can ruffle feathers at times, but you'll gain respect as well. So from there, if we jump down to 7, my awesome Gibby, I stole a quote. A lot of this I stole, so I can just say, reconsider everything. And I'm not telling you that your parents are wrong, your teachers are wrong. I don't even need to tell you this because it's a natural teenage thing to do. You're going to want to question things to find your place. This is a quote from my favorite band, 311. Probably no one's heard of them at this point. Kind of I don't know. But that idea has always stayed with me, the idea of what, do I just accept everything, or do I want to go further and explore this on my own? Do I want to unravel everything? For me, it was my freshman year in college. I had a Catholic upbringing, and I'm glad of that, which I'll talk about later. But I remember I read Friedrich Nietzsche my freshman year in college, and it tore down my world because his ideas were so different than anything I've ever been taught, and it definitely was part of who I am and part of the speech with that. But I think those ideas can be dangerous when you start questioning things, and it can lead to some, number 6 really. I do want to talk about this book though. If you haven't read this, and you like social studies, this is really good. This is just called Sapiens, a Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. Excellent, excellent read. No, he's not paying me for that. This is just the most recent book I've read that I found some interesting truths to. So pretty cool. Told you I'm excited for books as well. So 6, my dancing guy. If you're getting bored, you only know there's 5 left after this. I tend to ramble. I got like this inner dialogue that just keeps going. This keeps me sort of grounded, so bear with me. 6, I found this cool picture that kind of reflects it. It's pretty light, but this was me. Again, this is my story. Might not happen to you. Some of you are like, this never happened to me. I was lost. I dropped out of college. I didn't want to do the textbooks, the test. It just didn't make sense to me. I went and worked. I read on my own, and that led to more revelations or more questions. And I felt myself sort of spiraling, to be honest, because there was so more ideas than I could handle out there. And they just weren't presented to me ever in a meaningful fashion. And I stole another quote from 311 as, although I usually write this in people's yearbooks, is I put on my to-do list, thunder. Oh no, is that just the deadline? Don't get confused life. Remember everything that your parents and teachers and mentors have guided you. You might be surprised they're not just idiots that don't get it because we didn't have cell phones and all of human history in the palm of our hand at the age of 10. It might just be that they lived through life too and saw some of the pitfalls and trappings and are trying to convey to you some basic wisdom and knowledge. And I bet they want you to figure that out for themselves. But they also know they don't want you to slip, and you can slip. It happens all the time. So cautious as you seek your truth, as you want to challenge authority and speak that truth to them. You're only 18, and I know 17, 18, and I know you don't like me saying that. Don't be so arrogant to think you have this all figured out, because you don't. I don't. Your parents don't. It's part of life. And I say that with a great deal of faith in what I'm living as I'm living my life. But to me, try to keep your moral compass. Absolutely. 5. That's my favorite picture of the day. I think you can get to points like that, where you just kind of feel isolated. And this is where that word serendipity comes across for me. Do we know what that word means or what it implies? Because I asked a few people and it didn't seem like I had a great answer. What's that? Justin, if you would. I had to define it? Okay, I have several ways to define it. I kind of go with the picture right there. These are those moments that people say, and this sounds cheesy, but the universe is trying to tell me something. The universe is speaking to me. These random coincidences that give you a greater understanding of what you're supposed to do. To me, these are the marks that let you understand in all the chaos of ideas that you're on a right path. Some people use, this is God speaking in mysterious ways. I'm just using the secular version so I don't get sued at any point. Of serendipity. The thunderstorm, I know that's somewhat serendipitous, but to me in this class, I just feel like we're connected somehow. I had almost everyone in this room freshman year in honors geography. First time I taught that class, first time I ever had honor students that have been 12 years of teaching. Then we all had the fun challenge of going through our first AP class together. Me trying to teach it, and you trying to 500 years of European history, not to mention all the writings, and that was challenging for me too. We went through that, and I really felt we had a camaraderie battling that throughout. It goes up. Your freshman year, your first year experience, I just became a dad. That was life-changing. So my whole outlook on life changed, and you guys were there for that. I did some weird looking up things. I'm 38 years old, which, I guess this is serendipitous. The average male lifespan in the United States was 38 times 2. You're looking back now at your education as a turning point. I'm looking back at my entire life and saying, holy cow, on the laws of averages, I'm halfway done. You think graduating high school in the unknown is scary. It really makes you think and reflect on what you've been doing. And like I said, it hasn't always been fun, but you learn from those things. What else? Yeah. Oh yeah. This year, and I was elected union president, although no one ran against me. This year has been, but I was nominated. Either no one wants that job, or they respect me enough to do the job. I'm gonna go with B. Makes me feel better. Yeah. But all these things that keep aligning with us, to me, is awesome. So moving on from that is look for those things. I know the psychologists in the room are like, you realize that's just neurons firing, and you're looking for a connection from pre-experiences to make sense. Fine, science. Thanks for telling us how. Social science tells us why. Why we think these things, and gives those things more meaning. Not to diss the sciences, but we are competitive teachers. I knew it was coming. All right. So, how do you know when something serendipitous is happening, I guess? And again, my opinion, Maya Angelou quote, which I agree but disagree. Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away. Very clever. Life is going to take your breath away. It's going to happen. For me, none of those things were in high school. And I'm not discounting high school because my best friends to this day are from high school. I constantly think back to what high school was, and you always get, I didn't learn anything. Yeah, you did. You internalized what you learned. So you remember learning how to read or write? You internalize those things. Those lessons are in you forever. They become part of who you are. So for me, this is where, as I was doing this, I'm like, man, does this sound cliche? But it's the absolute truth. For me, my moments were literally, the breath came out of me, revolve around Brown Eyed Girls. Not the Van Morrison song, but the 3 ladies in my life. So, I talked about my 19 years old and drifting. I drifted right into Farm and Fleet. And I needed a job. I had got fired from a previous job, and guess what? I didn't care, because I was 19. And I walked in, and right away, I lost my breath. And that's because the girl working at the front desk, and I asked for an application, I married her. That was almost 20 years ago. You can laugh at these. That's us in our Farm and Fleet gear. That's us shortly after, and that's with a fresh haircut. Just hair, comes and goes. It was serendipitous. Even weirder, as I was courting her, or trying to, it took forever. We were in the break room together, and just small talking. How old are you? How old are you? Blah, 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 blah. When's your birthday? June. What day? 28th. When's yours? 28th. We have the exact same birthday. I had to show her my license. She thought I was mine. And from there, we've been inseparable. We work together in North, somehow. It's very strange. Hasn't always been perfect, but for me, that was one of those moments where the air came out of me, and I look back and say, wow, all those things, all those turns in my life, all those stupid things led me through those doors at Farm and Fleet at that specific time. Just weird. From there, many years passed, and my second brown eyed girl entered my life. Exhibit B. My daughter Adeline. born almost 4 years ago to this day, right before I met all of you. A sassy little thing she is now. Changed my life, love of my life, put everything in perspective. Everything my parents told me. My mom always used to say, when you have kids, you'll know, like, whatever. She's right, she was right. And everything. It's crazy how that worked out. I don't even want to admit it right now, but it's the truth. So, just nuts. The last one has to do with my mom, my final brown-eyed girl. My mom passed away almost 6 months ago to the day. Sorry, I don't cry much. And the phone call I got Sunday evening, getting ready to go to bed, from my sister, took the breath out of me. And this wasn't the good way. It stole everything in me. I collapsed to the ground, just the news of what happened, and then the coma, and I watched my mother take her last breath. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But everything came together. There's no way I could have done this speech without that happening. I know what I believe, what my faith is now from that moment. I know everything her and my dad prepared me for that I thought was just BS growing up, that I challenged constantly, just started to make all the sense in the world. And it truly, I still, like every human has to go through this and watch their parents. It breaks my heart. It absolutely tears me apart. But at the same time, that's life. That's the human condition. And it put everything just where it needs to be. And I'm still not over it. It was very hard. But it is what it is. I don't know what to say right now. So my number 3, also, stay off your phones. Look at that. It's horrible. You're letting life pass you by. And I'm guilty too. These moments don't last. They're gone. Just like that. The last thing I told my mom was, I think my back hurts. I'm going home. That's it. You don't get to always say things. So number 3 is cheesy. I don't care. I wish I could give my mom the biggest hug in the world right now, and I can't. Can't do it. And I know that's for me, all your loved ones out there. You don't know. You got another. We had a fellow classmate you guys had to go through. That was hard. Then Mr. Rodriguez. Then Mr. Rick. We grieved those things together. But I'm just telling you, that life, I can't believe I'm halfway over. I really can't. Because it really makes you appreciate everyone around you. So when you get a chance, give them the biggest hug. Tell them you love them. I don't care if your friends are around and they think it's stupid. Trust me on that. And maybe you won't until do it. That's an assignment. Do it.
Thank you.
We're almost done. Number 2. Using the book. Idea. What's your story going to be? Should be about your integrity. Should be about those moments. But will it be? Because unfortunately, you don't get to write your story. It doesn't work that way. Everyone in this room will be telling a story about me someday. I do that for a living. I tell stories to kids about dead Europeans, for the most part. So I'm asking you, I take this from a quote that's tattooed on my arm from Psalms 99. We live our days as a tale that is told. And I don't know where I tripped and fell over that quote, but it's always resonated. The idea that every day my words, my actions are being watched, are being recorded, and those stories are being told. My daughter is going to hear those stories someday. What do I want that story to be? It really destroys your ego. And I wish it didn't take me 38 years to realize that. I really didn't. I've done some dumb things, as I'm sure your parents have, or the growing pains. So what will your story be? And so to conclude, number 1, little John Locke for you. His view on human nature, that we're blank. I don't know if that's true. He's a dead European. Who knows? But I like the idea, and I think all your accolades, all the 3.75, all the gold ribbons and things like that. You got about a week, and then you put them in a drawer, and you're blank. You're going off to university. You're going off to college. You're going to the military, and you're fresh. And now you have to make that decision. What is my life going to be? What kind of person do I want the stories to be told about me? So that idea of tabula rasa, blank slate. Here we go. So I just end dramatically as it hangs the flag. Thank you very much.